Well, I just thought I'd pop out to show my face, seeing as the fucking gimps, the primitive peasants, were at it again last night with the metaphysical fucking chicanery, trying to fucking do what they can't do. Honestly, it's just hilarious at this point. Your desperation in your attempts to do things to me that you can't no longer do. It doesn't work anymore. Like, you're finished. Your time is up. You know, you're not going to make any impact. That's why I like to keep showing my face, just to trigger you fucking idiots. Just to let you know how worthless you are. And pretty soon, the whole world's going to know who you are. Oh yes. But other than that, I've getting to the point now where my view time on YouTube is limited. I've narrowed it down to only certain people who I like to watch, you know what I mean, who are more in sync with me in understanding what's been going on behind the scenes and what these so-called fucking imbeciles have been doing. I've been trying to hide and trying to cover up. But that's not going to work. It's like, I've also realised, look, there's a lot of women who are spiritual, I get that, right? And there's a lot of female tarot readers, right? But in the female, the vast majority, in their world, it's all women. All women are the superheroes, and all men are bad karmics. There's no good masculines, they're all bad. It's ironic, really. It's ironic. When I first got on my journey and I was getting into sort of tarot and people reading it, you know, I was still learning the framework, the basics, right? And understanding masculine and feminine energies, how both male and female have masculine and feminine energies, right? And depending on what energy you're operating out of at the time, you know, you'll either come up as a masculine and feminine energy or a feminine and masculine energy, vice versa, all right? But what I've also realised is that a lot of tarot readers can't sort of detect whether they're dealing with a male to female transgender or a female to male transgender, or how to identify the difference. It's just either masculine or feminine energies. More to follow. I mean, I you know, was sort of when I first got into that, I was still developing my sort of intuition and my psychic abilities, and how to identify what was applicable to me and what I just needed to cast away. And the amount of tarot readings that I've read, I've picked up. Well, I have a high aptitude for learning, okay, so I can sort of quickly establish what's for me, what isn't for me, and obviously if it doesn't fly, just let it go by. Do you know what I mean? And but once I started understanding what fit my storyline, you know what I mean, what fit to my timeline, I was better able to tap into my own channeling. So as I was saying, I was able to start to channel myself and find out things. I was able to understand the signs and the synchronicities of synchronicities. Who the fuck says that? If you spell out synchronicities, there's no fucking O or A or anything like that. I just fucking never get that one. Synchronicities. It's fucking backwards. But anyway, so I started to tap into the signs and synchronicities of what was more applicable to me, and I was starting to work out faster what's been happening in sort of in my circumstances, able to sort of pick up on people's energies and read them and know if they're for me or against us, you know what I mean? So I started to be able to tap into my own abilities and figure things out without the need to watch readings. So what began to start happening is that I was picking up on things, and sometimes I'll talk about things, or I'll do automatic writing, and like I'm tapping in to the ether, and I'm getting information, and then what'll happen is I'll watch my favourite readers who are more in sync with me and what's going on with my timeline, and they'll start confirming to me what I've already channeled myself and figured out myself. Just spending time on my own and just like in silence and just picking up on things, or you hear your thoughts. We've all got an inner monologue, yeah? It's not like I've got people fucking torturers inside of my fucking head. You've got your inner monologue. And sometimes things will just come out. And I'll just start writing them down. And then I'll watch fucking readers, and then they'll start telling me what I've already figured out. And also, it's like I could be sat and I could be staring at someone or something, and all of a sudden I'll get thoughts or like images appearing in my head, which kind of like paints a narrative. So I'll start journaling, writing it down what I know. Or I could be looking at someone or and then I'll start talking. I'll start talking about things that they have done that I shouldn't know anything about, and it's like waiting for the fucking, like, the flabbergasted look, or that bizarre look, or just like that look of fucking fear or disbelief, or how do you know that? How no one else? No, I haven't told anyone. How do you know this? How do you fucking know this? And or sometimes I could just be having a conversation with someone and start telling things about them that like I don't know, and they get freaked out by it. And what I also find hilarious when I'm actually watching readings, or I might stumble across someone new, and I'll listen to them basically tell, like, they're doing a general reading, right? General reading. And then they talking about it. And I'll listen to them basically talk about what's been happening in my life that just resonates. It's like a ping. It's like when you're pinging fucking masts, telephone masts and things like that, Like, they'll talk about things just like ping, but it always 100% almost certainly turns out to be fucking divine feminine. Or they'll say, like, it could be masculine, but because the cards, like, have got females on, right? So by that logic, it has to be fuck women because there's women on the cards. Like, I'm not certain of that logic, to be honest with you. I think that's, by that logic, so regardless of the pack of cards, so if it's a pack of cards with, like, men, so it must almost certainly be talking about fucking men, because there's men on the cards. So it has to be a divine masculine. But, like, even if that was the fucking case, I'm picking up on a feminine energy, but my logic tells us by the fucking people in the cards, it's like, yeah, I'm very, like, I have serious reservations about certain readers and their ability to translate, especially when they're telling me my story. I mean, I never comment or anything, or nothing like that. I'll just, like, have a bit of a chunter on to myself and just fucking hell. But yeah, there's some readers, they make these bold claims of being a high priestess or whatever, but, like, so that's what it always gets me. So, because, like, as I say, I'm someone who absorbs knowledge, and I'm able to piece things together very fast. I'm like one of those fucking jigsaw puzzle masters. I get all the pieces into place and put it all in, so they all fall into place, all the pieces. And what I've realised is any tarot reader worth the salt will tell you that energy is fluid, right? There's no gender in tarot. We can be a masculine or a feminine, operating either out of our masculine or feminine energies, right? But you get, like, a lot of readers, they're very black and white in the translations. There's no grey areas, they're very rigid in the translation. So if it's a feminine energy, that's it, it's a fucking female, it's a divine feminine, you know what I mean? But if, like, I'll get to the next point in the next clip, but So what I'll do, I'll propose an alternative way of translating, right? So let's just say if you've been allowed to tap in to the energy of a divine being, right? And so whether it's a feminine or masculine, right? Their energy is divine, right? And let's just say like this divine being has the ability to cloak their energy and operate out of different energy to throw people off in the readings, right? Regardless, that energy is divine, whether it's masculine or feminine. So you can appear as a divine feminine or a divine masculine, depending on what energy you're operating out of, or if you're one of these people who can cloak the fucking energy. But if you're a divine being, right, your masculine and feminine energies are divine, and so they can still come out in the deck. And what I always find ironic as well is when like the Queen of Wands will come out, or the Queen of Cups, or the Queen of Pentacles, or the Queen of Swords, right? And then you'll get reason, well, it could be a man or woman, it could be a man or woman. But if a divine feminine comes out, oh no, it's a woman. It's a woman. But yet a man can be all the queens as well as be all the kings. Much the same for a woman can be all the queens and all the kings, and they can both embody emperor and empress energies. But if a fucking divine feminine comes out, oh well, that's it, it's not a man, it's divine feminine. There's like so many fucking ironies and double standards when people are translating. Now there are some who I'm subscribed to who always tell you that it doesn't matter if you're man or woman, you can operate out of these energies, because it's not about genitalia at the end of the day. It's not about personality traits and abilities and capabilities. Just like that, I know that I myself have not been called to read tarot cards for people. That's not what I'm here for. And these who make the bold claim of being a high priest or high priestess, fuck me, they don't seem to like be able to, like, they claim to see beyond the veil, but I tell you this much, it's obvious to me that the gifts that I've inherited, my spiritual gifts, allow me to see far beyond the veil, because there's things that I know about this fucking reality. It just trumps what these so-called readers claim as a high priest or priestess. Well, I'm both the high priest and high priestess, because I can tell you some fucking things that'll screw your fucking head up, which I don't talk about because it's too much for a lot of people. Like, for instance, last night I was doing a bit of journaling, I was doing a bit of research, and I've jotted down a few things that I might go over when I get back in the house and give you a demonstration. I'll just link it all up in the edited video that I do when I post it, about what's coming, because there's a lot of tarot readers. I don't know if it's just because it's on YouTube, but there's things coming, right, that's going to cause or create total chaos. Like, it's like the West, for instance, the whole capitalist structure is going to collapse, and it's being sped up by certain elites who just want to see the world burn, who want to sort of like depopulate the planet to retain control. In fact, it's something I'm starting to get back into, because the story about what's been happening to me, it's essentially come full circle. There's little bits and bobs here that I'm getting, but it's very repetitive now. I mean, there's one reader who always boasts about his gifts increasing, but continues to talk about the same fucking story over and over again, and it's just repetitive. And so I'm starting to get bored of that. So I've been getting back into what I was heavily into, about how the world works, who's behind the veil, who's pulling the strings, and sort of like it's bringing us like towards the Great Tribulation. Of in Hindu traditions, we're currently in the Kali Yuga, but I'll get more into that. I'll get more into that later. I mean, there's been a period of 12 years where I've been deep down the rabbit hole, uncovering all kinds of weird and wonderful information that really opened my eyes, which brought me to an awakening to what's actually happening in the world. But ultimately, these discoveries I uncovered essentially brought me to my spiritual awakening, because as I was doing this research, for me, it started to always go back to biblical times, and it was always going back to like Babylon and things like that, it's like a diorama that's always like leading back to the past. And it kind of like, I researched myself back to God. And it also taught me a lot about the Freemasons and secret societies, and just who they really are, and how there's a vast majority of Freemasons who only ever ascend to the first 3 degrees, and they're like known as the profane. They're like the goyim, shall we say, the cattle, the useless eaters. And for those to ascend further, like towards the 33rd degree, well, you have to be a special kind of individual to achieve that sort of rank. And this is what I've realised about secret societies, whether it's Freemasons, Eastern Stars or whatever. It's basically kabuki theatre or pantomime. Just research kabuki theatre and pantomimes and you might understand what I'm talking about. How politicians are just nothing but fucking actors. Like how our so-called reality is just like an actor-based reality. I mean, take the Truman Show, for instance. A great story. You may think it's a good work of fiction, but there's more truth in that film. In fact, there's more truth in films than what you actually get in the mainstream media. It's like these Freemasons and such, the universal laws or the karmic laws that they have to tell us the truth, but they do it in convoluted ways, such as comics, books, works of fiction, TV, dramas, movies, things like that. And that's how they get away with it. For instance, they can tell you events that's coming in the future by telling you like stories in movies. Things like that. I mean, even Fallout, the latest series, that's got more truth in it than you would like care to admit. Like for instance, like it's, I'm sure you've heard about it. It's like predictive programming. Like if you watch the movie Leave the World Behind, that basically is predicting a collapse of America, collapse of the dollar, how they will be taking out critical infrastructure, which will precipitate a civil war, and basically the elites will allow the people just to kill each other off, and then they'll resurface once the job's been done. It's the Hegelian dialect, isn't it? It's problem, reaction, solution. So they'll trigger an event which takes out critical infrastructure, like an EMP attack that takes out all of the electronics, which sort of like reset you back to the dark ages. Then they'll do leaflet drops, make you think it's Korea, Iran, China, Russia, which will precipitate chaos, like civil war, panic. And so the elites will go into the underground bunkers, and they'll let the people kill themselves off, like the people doing the dirty work of the elites. And then obviously once the carnage has been caused and there's been a complete destruction of a nation, which has left them in dire straits, depleted, worn out, ready, to the point where they'll be ready to have the solution, problem, reaction, solution. One of those tactics would be known as the Cloward and Piven strategy, which was devised in 1966. It's a system that will overwhelm the welfare state with impossible demands, which will sort of like trigger chaos, precipitate chaos, which will put pressure on societal norms, creating an economical crash and a collapse of the financial system. I mean, just think of something that could have precipitated or pushed that along somewhat. I don't know, COVID, where the world stood to a standstill for a period of 2 years, where there was no productivity, which was creating more debt. The deficit was getting higher. I believe every 100 days now in America, the deficit increases by $1 trillion. So yeah, so a collapse of the financial system. So there'll be a collapse of the financial system, which will create an economical crisis, which will trigger fucking high inflation, which will wipe out the middle class, and there'll only be a one class. And what they'll intend to do is introduce a universal basic income. Things like that. And then obviously you've got your forever wars with fucking Ukraine and Israel and Gaza and Palestine. And that's just the beginning. I mean, we've already got Iran now chirping in like it's like a well-structured forever war. And then before you know, China and Russia will be all involved, and then World War III will trigger. And that'll fuck everything up, especially the West. I mean, just look at fucking the UK, America and Canada now. The fucking prices are astronomical, especially in like big cities and things like that. Chaos is ensuing. But I think we'll just leave that there for now. I just thought I'd give you something different other than talking about them same fucking parasites. That it's like they finished anyway. There's not a lot more they can do. And so I just thought I would give you a look into the darker side of reality of what's to come, because we've got the forever wars, which is going to lead to all-out war, which is going to collapse the capitalist system and the death of America, and it's all an inside job basically, whereby they point the finger as if it's to someone outside, but it's not. It's all being meticulously planned over a period of years. I mean, we could say over a period of 100 years, because these sort of things take time to implement. But I will give you an example as to what they want to try and implement after the collapse of the West. They want to introduce digital currency, CBDC, central bank digital currency, whereby it's programmable, so you've got total control. The state's got total control over your finances, whereby you'll never be able to save no more than, say, 20,000, whether that's dollars or whatever, however you want to structure it, right? You will be told where you can and can't buy products. There will be a limit as to what you can have. There'll be a limit on your travelling, because they'll be providing you with a 15-minute city. I mean, they already rolled this out in Oxford in the UK, whereby you only have to travel 15 minutes. They'll reduce your travelling time, essentially bringing about the social credit score system like in China. Yeah, so you'll only be able to eat a certain amount of meat, which will probably be synthetic, because they want to create like an avian flu or another mad cow disease, whereby they kill off all the fucking cattle. They want to deplete farming, whereby it's totally controlled by the state. So they just want to feed you with poison. I mean, just look at fast foods. They glam it up, but really all they do is they just spraying chemicals and injecting chemicals, and half the shit that it's made up with is not even real food, it's all synthetic. No wonder people are getting sick and dying or overweight, because they're not eating healthy foods. They're not eating single ingredient foods, and even those they're getting sprayed with fucking chemicals. So you've got to buy organic, and then they're charging you a fortune for that. But yeah, they just want to control your movements, your whereabouts, and yeah, you will eat the bugs and be happy. prepare yourself for mass inflation, a collapse of the financial system, a reintroduction of a digital currency whereby you're totally owned and controlled by the state, where everything you do, you are told to do it, and you can't disagree. And if you do, well, it's just like in China, they'll lower your credit score, they'll stop you from travelling, they'll stop you from flying. I mean, they don't even want you to do that. They want everything to be driverless cars, you know what I mean, whereby it's an electric car that's programmed to take you from A to B. You know, get ready for that dystopian future that you have in store for us. And it's all happening right now, and most people are too blind to see it. But that's the sort of things I take notice of, rather than tapping into the energy of people and telling you a tale about what's going on in their lives. I look at the bigger picture as to what's going to happen to all of our lives. And the thing is, I mean, this information's actually available for you to find online. You know, you've got a whole archive in your hand whereby you can just do a couple of searches. Don't use Google, it's fucking shit. I mean, pre-search DuckDuckGo. But even then, you know. But yeah, you can do all this information yourself, you can do all this research yourself. But, you know, people are that brainwashed that they only ever listen to Big Brother. And that's what's coming. But yeah, you can find all this information out for yourself. Just go digging and you'll find it. But as I say, most people are too dumbed down, too brainwashed, too attached to electronic devices, too detached from reality, and too heavily focused on social media about views and likes and image. But when all is said and done, this is Nightfly 777 signing off.